So I went to my local grocery store yesterday and picked up a 10-stem bunch of tulips, $6.99 a bunch. Can't really beat the price point. Tulips are a tuberous flower, so their stems are really sensitive and very waterlogged. So there are a couple things you need to know about how to care for them to get the most length of time out of them, and also what you want to do when you're actually physically working with tulips. So first, what you want to do is strip the tulips down so you can work with the stems. I did that already to sort of get ahead of us. These are what the leaves look like. You're going to be really careful when you're stripping the stems off because these are pretty sensitive. You can easily snap a tulip stem. Case in point, I already did that once here. When you want to maybe put together an arrangement for guests, if you're going to someone's home, you certainly could just, stop by with a package from the store, but it might be nice to, put it together yourself at home and then head over. So I took the 10 stems, or 9 since I broke one. Tulips have a mind of their own. They're going to go left to right no matter what you do. Do not try to manipulate a tulip stem. You're just going to end up snapping them. So these guys, the way I'm making them for me, are left to right, so they're your right to left. And you want to think about not just vertical lines, but horizontal lines when you're making a bunch of flowers to try to make it sort of as well-rounded as possible. So some of these tulips that I'm putting on here, I'm thinking this way, and I'm also thinking north and south. Let's see what this looks like here. So, tulips are definitely going to be a little bit more modern and clean if you're not adding a second flower to them. And also notice there's not a lot of girth, if that's a lack of a better word, to tulip stems once the leaves are stripped. So if you want a very bountiful centerpiece or a really large bouquet for friends or family, you might want to consider buying more than one bunch at the grocery store or at your local florist. So we're ready to go. I have some baker's twine here that I already cut up. I am going to wrap the stem just a few times. Give them a little bit of stability. Make sure you lay them down on the sides, opposite direction than where they're falling, so you don't snap any of the stems even through this process. Cut it so it's nice and even. But at this point, I would probably suggest that you cut the stems off. Tulips are really easy to cut, so you can cut them with just regular household scissors. If you're doing another type of flower like a rose or a hydrangea, you might want to get some actual cutters you can buy at a local craft store, or you might even stop by a local florist. They might be able to sell you a pair of theirs. Tulips are also pretty dirty. There's a lot of, you probably can't see, there's a lot of dirt in the stems, so you might want to take a quick rinse in the sink to clean them up, get them nice and clean and rinsed before you send them over to a friend's house, or before you put them in the water vase, because then the sediments will fall to the bottom and the water won't be clean. So you could literally get ready to go out of the house right here and give this to a guest. If you wanted to do something a little bit more modern, make a centerpiece, keep it right here where it is. You're going to cut the stems a little bit shorter than if it was a bouquet. Let's take a check here. You can buy, you can even use a glass from your house. I just have a simple square vase here. It's like 4 inches wide, 6 inches tall. You can buy at a craft store, or even a home decor store. And you're going to put the flowers not so corner to corner. So the corner of the vase stems one way, across the vase to the other. And you can just let it sit here nice and modern and clean and call it a day. Pretty easy. If you wanted to do something a little bit more traditional, you can keep the stem length if you'd like, or I have like this adorable little 4-inch round vase here. You're going to want to take your tulips, undo the knot that you formed. We're not going to actually have these wrapped. Now this is where multiple stems might come in handy for the size of the arrangement, which is why, since we only have 10 stems, we're going to use a small 4-inch vase. I'm going to keep these leaves on the tulips because it's going to give me a little bit more to work with in terms of filling in the space. So it's kind of like a game of pickup sticks. You're going to go in and you're going to lean, and I also do this fairly mathematically and symmetrically, lean the tulip stems against each other, working around the leaves. I think of a clock, so I'm going to put one at 12, 3, 6, and 9. And you want to make sure your initial tulips aren't far, the length of the stem of the tulip doesn't extend the head of the tulip that far away from the edge, the lip of your vase. You can see this pretty easily. We've got maybe ½ inch space between the end of the blossom head and the beginning of the vase. That's gonna let you get a pretty tight, compact arrangement. So once you have 12, 3, 6, and 9, you're gonna wanna go in and create, so like 130, 430, 730, and 1030 with your stems. Again, you have to work with what a tulip gives you. This guy really wants to curve around, so don't anticipate putting him in the middle of your centerpiece because it's just not actually gonna work out super well for him. As you try again to think north, south, east, west when creating an arrangement, this would be your east, west, north, south, just to clarify. You want to think about some of these stems are going to need to be a little bit taller, and they're going to need to be a little bit more straight to do well in the upward position to fill in the top of your arrangement. And what's cool about tulip stems is they're not sticky, but they inherently sort of grab to each other. They're the stems and the leaves, so once you have a couple in the arrangement base started, you can then just sort of carefully work around the existing stem sort of structure and fill in. Now, if it was me and I was going to take this out to someone's house, I probably would buy a second package to get a little bit more fullness, but you've got yourself like a really clean and simple arrangement. You see on the bottom sort of like a little game of pixie sticks, all of the stems are working around each other. The other key about tulips is they pop open and heat very quickly, so if you want longevity out of tulips, make sure you keep them in a cooler place in your house, not over your fireplace. That wouldn't go over very well. And because they're tuberous and so water-filled, their stems already, I don't suggest having a lot of water in the actual vases. An inch, inch and a half is just fine. Just watch the water levels and change them a little bit more often. But if you oversaturate tulip stems with too much water in the vase, they'll actually go into the head and the heads will thin out and then the petals will fall off a lot quicker than you would like them to. So a couple ways to take a simple under $10 bunch of flowers from your local grocery store or local florist, take them out to a friend's house, keep them in your house to enjoy them, and we'll talk to you guys next time.